Hello YouTube, what's up, vanakkam, namaste and welcome to my channel. You're watching Rakshith Motofilms. So let's straight away get into the topic. I usually keep getting this question from my friends, neighbors and from my family members as well. So the question is, what is the difference between an air-cooled engine, an oil-cooled engine and a liquid-cooled engine? So in today's video, I will be explaining about it. Well guys, this is an air-cooled engine. In particular, we'll not be talking about this RX100. Let's keep it aside. We'll be talking about an engine. So these kind of engines are basically used in a 100cc motorcycle or a 150cc motorcycle, which have a very less capacity and which are usually used for commuting in the cities and in the locals. So these kind of small bikes get such air-cooled engines. So what happens is, over a period of time, the engine gets heated when it starts running, and in order to keep the internal parts cool and in order to keep the engine cool, these kind of engines, the air-cooled engines, take the air from the atmosphere and it gets cooled. So you see this fins here. So this this feeds the air into its engine and it keeps the internal parts cool. So the advantages of this kind of engines is the initial cost of this kind of engines this kind of engines and this kind of motorcycles are cheap. And it's very easy to repair. The cost is very less. So these are the main advantages of this kind of engines. The disadvantages of this engine is you can't do higher speeds on these motorcycles. I'm not talking about the RX, but yeah, the particular air-cooled engine motorcycles, they can't do higher speeds. And if you continuously do higher speeds, maybe if a bike has a top speed of 80 km per hour, if you constantly do 80 km per hour every time, over a period of time, you might see a lot of problems in your engine, which is not ideal thing to do. And the more you hit the RPMs, the engine tends to take a lot of pain, and which is not at all recommendable. So these kind of engines are basically used for commuting and not for higher speeds. So that's about an air-cooled engine. Now let's go to the oil-cooled engine. Well guys, this is an oil-cooled engine. Usually this kind of engines have a two-way of technology in order to cool the engines. One is the air-cooled system and the other thing is an oil-cooled system. So basically these engines take the air from the atmosphere and cools down the parts inside. And the second thing is, the second technology is the oil which is being used on these engines tends to cool down the engine using a radiator. So the oil is being sent to the radiator. The heated oil is being sent to the radiator, and with the help of the air in the atmosphere, the oil gets cooled and it is sent to the engine, and that helps in cooling the parts inside, and it is being sent to the reservoir again. So it's a continuous process. Once the engine gets heated, it is being sent to the radiator. With the help of the air in the atmosphere, it gets cooled, and the same oil is being sent to the engine, and that's how it gets cooled. So the advantages of this engine is it's kind of easy to maintain, and you can't do higher speeds every time, but yeah, you can do sometimes. Maybe if a motorcycle has a top speed of 120 km per hour, you can do speeds of about 100, 110 easily. And the disadvantage is that you can't keep cruising at top speeds every time, and over a period of time this kind of engines will have leakages in the oil, and that's a big drawback of this kind of engines. Well guys, we have these two motorcycles, that's the Duke 250 and the NS 200. So these two motorcycles are liquid cooled engines. So these are the most advanced and the latest kind of engines which are being used by the motorcycle brands right now. So these engines tend to heat up a lot, and in order to cool that, there is this coolant which is in the reservoir. So this green liquid what you see here is known as coolant. So this coolant gets into the radiator pipes, and the same coolant is being sent to the engine surroundings, and that helps in cooling down the engine. So it's a continuous process. Once the engine gets started, the coolant level increases, and the coolant is sent to the engine in order to cool down, and it is again being sent to the reservoir. So these engines are most complicated in order to understand, but still there are many advantages of this engine, that these engines can cruise at top speeds for a very longer period of time. For example, let's take this bike has a top speed of 140 km per hour. So this bike can do speeds of 130 to 135 for a very long period of time with no hassle. It's easy to cruise, so that's one big advantage of this kind of liquid cooled engines. And the disadvantage is that it's quite expensive to maintain, and it's a bit complicated to understand. And in case if you end up crashing somewhere, this this coolant tends to leak, and you got to be very careful about that. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys have understood everything about the oil cooled, air cooled and the liquid cooled. If you guys have any doubts and queries regarding it, do let me know in the comment section below. I will definitely try to answer that. And if you want something new, and if you want to learn more about motorcycles and cars, do let me know in the comment section below. We'll definitely try to do a video about it. So until then, ride hard, ride safe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.